Is there? Are you asking? If you don't look at it.
Okay, we're live.
I didn't read the whole thing. It's long.
This ought to be fun. Okay. All right. So, welcome to the Gunter City Council regular meeting. It is May 13th. It is at 6:00 p.m. We're in 105 North 4th Street in the Public Safety Building. All notices have been properly posted. We do have a quorum. We have 2 seats absent. Place 3 and place 4 are not here right now, but we do have a quorum, so we will move forward. We will open up this meeting and start with our invocation and then our Pledge of Allegiance. Adam, our chief, do one of y'all want to?
All right. All right, guys, please. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for our ability again to meet like this. We thank you for all the rain we've had that prepares us for summer, and we thank you for the cessation of all the rain we've had. We pray for wisdom and knowledge to those making decisions tonight, Lord. We pray for the blessings on this country and this community and our state of Texas, Lord. We thank you for all your blessings you've given us, Lord, and help us to realize how blessed we are living in this country, in this state, in this city. We thank you for all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Agenda item number 1, that is our consent agenda to approve minutes from April 17th and April 29th meetings. And for the record, Wade is here, 6:02. Deidre, you've got that. Thank you. We tried to wait on you.
I had to get ketchup.
It's okay. You had to get catch up. Okay. Also consider the approval of Gunter Police Department activity report for April 2025 and the financial report for April 2025.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Got Cindy with a first, Alan with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Hey, Deidre, I left my pen back there. Do you have an extra one? Yes. I was going to go back for my coffee, but thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 2, Chief Danny Jones. If you would like to come up, we've got an officer to introduce. We sort of busted your thunder and did this last week.
Okay.
Okay.
This is Officer Christopher Nash. Officer Christopher Nash comes by way of County Sheriff's Office. He served 6 years, and he was recently in the Criminal Investigation Division, where he did a great and outstanding job. We were very lucky and fortunate to get him from the Grayson County Sheriff's Office and welcome him aboard to the Gunter Police Department. I want to brag real quick on Officer Nash. His wife is also a patrol sergeant, I believe, or patrol deputy on the day shift. So they are the Blue Line family, Blue Blood family. But day 2 of Officer Nash coming to work for us, as well as y'all know about the Gunter ISD, the break-in, the burglary that happened at the high school. Day 2, Officer Nash assisted the Gunter ISD Police Department along with various other departments, and he was responsible for drafting the arrest warrant and the search warrant for the individual that was not only caught within 24 hours, but was we got over 90% of the merchandise or the products back, which is pretty much unheard of. And so it identified 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and got all 90% of the products back within 48 hours. So I want to give a hand to Officer Nash. He'll be receiving later on. He'll be receiving in the year. He'll be receiving a police department meritorious award for his actions on the assistance with Gunter ISD and other agencies, which included Sherman PD, McKinney PD on facial recognition, and then the Texas Rangers as well. So yeah, Officer Nash, if you want to turn around, we'll get some pictures. Welcome him aboard. I
got a few.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, Nash. All right, so next up, we've got our Director of Parks and Public Services, Mr. Adam Adams. Update us, a lot going on.
This is a little
We've got a lot.
lengthy. Yeah, it's a little lengthy right here. So, let's see here. We're gonna start with the streets. Precinct 1 has begun work on the Hunter and Kimberlin project that council authorized, so that's underway. They were obviously waiting for the rains to stop. The Fox Bend Trace Street storm sewer repairs were completed last week at the end of the week. And then that brings us to the other project that council awarded, which was the Woods Driveway Transition Project. And that project has run into some issues. The project was slated to start on May 5th. The week before that, I met with the contractor on the project to go over the process one last time. I had a set of plans with me, and I just walked from driveways to driveways with him. And it became very apparent, I pulled out a tape, that the measurements on many of these were off. The width measurements were right, but the depth measurements were off. And he agreed with me that would majorly affect the price of this project. So I met with the engineer same week, told him I couldn't understand how the inspectors came up with those measurements and my concern about how much this would increase the cost of the project. Then a day or two later, I went out with them and a different inspector, and yes, they concurred the measurements were off. They came up with, a week went by, they did come up with a new project scope. They had to do borings on the driveways, so change the project scope. And we're meeting with the contractor next week, probably Wednesday, to see what the price of the project for him to price out the new scope work. So he hasn't seen it yet. He has to come up with a price that'll, I imagine, he'll have it within under a week once he sees it. I did talk to Courtney about this, as I suspected it would require, this change will probably require to go back out for RFP again, more than likely. So that's something that will be coming back to council. I would think June 5th. Not the RFP, potentially, just the going, to make a decision on it, to take a look at it. I doubt the RFP will be done by then. So on other things, we did receive payment for the patch truck from Grayson County. We'll apply the majority of those monies to the repair of the city's portion of Sharp Road by Precinct 1, Grayson County. And then concerning the project for the fire department containers and that one storage, the resurfacing behind us of the parking lot, graded it all, got it ready to go, but it's on hold right now because the pits are all flooded. So we could not get the rest of the road base. It's backed up. They're not even projecting a time for us to get it, so we're on hold on that project right now. Signage. I have street signs and I'm ordering more. I have 30 more signposts ordered. Just want to show y'all what it looks like. I think it's basically the signs, current signs we have. If you see a sign like this, it's a little different. I think William was like, why is it so large? These are signs that go off Preston Road.
You want to show it to the camera?
I think I'm on camera, right?
Yeah,
Is
who are
there a
you?
camera back there? See the camera? Okay. And these are what they look like. It's the same sign. We just dropped the tagline below Gunter that no one could read anyway. So these are the signs, plus 30 more signposts. Let's see, moving along. When we receive the poles, we'll put, because I have these, we'll put no truck signs on McConnell and Kerfoot off Preston. There was a request for mounting the no truck signs on the TxDOT poles off of Preston that currently exist. So I reached out to TxDOT to see if they would allow it. They will not allow those signs on their poles off of that. And they actually recommended to me, just sort of unsolicited, they said they shouldn't go that close to an intersection anyway. They should be 80 to 100 feet back from an intersection to allow the vehicle to make a full turn before they see the sign. But as soon as the new poles arrive, we'll set the post on those roads. Trash service, a little update on the trash service, where we are at so far. We've asked for a 2-month extension really it's more like 3 months actually, to the current contract, as we're still fact gathering, and we have to allow up to 8-week lead time if the new provider is selected at the end of the process. We have met with one vendor already, Councilman Rich, something I forgot your last name. I was just gonna say Alan. Sorry, Richards, Councilman Richards, the mayor, and Hyde and Deetra. We met with one vendor. It was a really productive meeting. We are meeting with Republic next week. We had a lot of questions, and we have found areas where there was a lot of money left on the table that we could obtain. I just think it was really the contract itself that left it on the table, honestly. Looking at it, we're also looking at billing options that Deetra has got, cost estimates if the billing moves to either a new provider or the city.
Is it gonna cost us more money to extend?
Now, it'll cost us, Republic would have done a 4% increase automatically on this
That
new
was how it
contract.
went, yeah.
So the 4% will come in no matter what. But it isn't a punishment or anything, it's just, that's what they would have done at this time. We have a new rep as well. Our old rep is no longer with the company, so gathering information is just taking a little longer than we thought. Last thing is the 2010 Freightliner. So we did bids in the paper on our website for sealed bids. Those bids will be open May 22nd at 10 a.m. is when they're due, and the bid open would be immediately after that. We've had 3 individuals contact us so far, but nobody has submitted the bid paperwork. I mean, nobody's requested. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's online. They maybe have gotten it. They haven't submitted any bids to us yet. And then I just wanted to thank, I know lots of people were involved. We had council people involved and everything. So thank Captain Cameron and Morgan for driving down to Houston and bringing the truck back.
Yeah.
So it is drivable. It just came off a Houston trip. So I think most people that are interested are probably interested in parts, but it runs. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Mayor Alderman report on the fiber. We're still working on that. We're really not any further other
No.
than.
The meeting with the Frontier is what we're waiting on.
Right.
That'll be a turkey meeting, I believe the 19th, yeah.
So we're waiting to meet with Frontier. TCQ, we're very close. So we assigned the SET program. They accepted everything, our idea for the air monitoring, the quality. So I signed that, yesterday or the day before? Yesterday. Now, it's a long day. Yesterday, and we are in good standing with TCQ. We did what we were supposed to do. They worked with us. They approved everything. So as soon as we get Frontier taken care of, then we can get our air monitor, all of them
And
installed.
I did receive
start-
notification from the state comptroller that she did receive my email, and then I mailed the
Yes.
other one.
Perfect.
The original to her.
Okay,
So that if
perfect.
we get those sensors, we can help TCQ monitor the air. And
We
then
are
they
ready
can come
to-
out here and regulate.
Yes,
And the
yes,
fiber would help us big time.
yeah, for sure. So that would be our next step, but they've approved everything. We've signed off on it. We're in good standings, and that feels good to have that finally done. That was a lot of hard work. It was driving me and Alan crazy.
We're running out
Okay.
of projects.
Yeah. So, Texas Ethics Commission update. I really don't have anything else on this. I think I've told everybody that, no, we're waiting on the very last one. The attorney did submit it to the commission. They meet in June, the first week of June, and if they sign it, then everything will be dismissed. That'll be the last one of the 14. And then 1145 Stonebridge Pass. I have a feeling this is gonna be our 4th of July party.
Oh, that's where we can do the fireworks. and
Our
burn the rest of the
fireworks,
way down.
we're gonna celebrate this, I have a feeling. So, we have our next meeting on June 3rd, I believe, is when we have it set. Is that correct, Deidre? June 3rd? For 5th, June 5th. Okay, so that's when, we'll do Courtney, do you want to explain that process real quick, just real briefly? It's kind of a quasi judicial.
Yes, so you
Process.
will be sitting as a quasi judicial body. You'll
Yeah.
swear in witnesses. You'll receive a presentation from staff, and if the owner of the structure appears, a presentation was from the owner, and you will determine at that point if it is a dangerous structure, and what remedies should be, whether he should be allowed to repair it or whether he should be required to tear it down. If you do find that he would be required to tear it down, then you have to give him 30 days to get that done. If he does not get that done, and that is your finding at that time, that it was required to be torn down, and then 30 days later it's not torn down, then the city can go in and take the actions necessary to tear the structure down and place a lien on the property.
So that's where we are. June 5th, and then 4th of July.
Should we got bids for that? I thought we already went through that.
You will need, yeah, you would
process
need to
like
do
6 months
bids
ago.
for the demo.
We've been taking all the steps,
Yeah,
but then we
just
stopped
not this
to see if he would agree to just let us tear it down, assign it that he's okay with us not going through this process, putting a lien on the home. We'll get our money back when the sale happens, but he ghosted us.
And Mary, did you hear that you do have to get bids for that demo?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. Maybe we start those a little early. Can we start them early?
You can,
The 30
yeah, I mean, because you don't have to
We're ready
award
to
the
go.
bid.
Yeah,
You
So-
can,
On July 4th.
you can start the
Ready to
bid
do
process,
that.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the bridges that would just love a sledgehammer and a hard hat.
No joke, except that
So
then
shit,
there's the
yeah.
It's
whole
like a demo car.
Yeah.
liability issues, but
We
we're
can
gonna have.
charge
No.
Yeah, this is gonna be our 4th of July party, I think. So, I mean, we're going as fast as we can, and I know as frustrated as I am, Courtney keeps reminding me, it is someone's personal property, so we do have to go through the system, and if it was yours, you would want us to,
Due
it's all fair,
process.
due process. Okay, so regular agenda item number 5, general discussion on city-initiated rezoning of areas located south of Main Street, currently zoned to M1 Manufacturing Industrial Light District. So, Eric, are you?
I don't have a
presenting on
presentation
this?
other than I just put together some slides and stuff. As you all recall, we recently did a rezoning to a planned development based on C3 or C2 for some properties in this area.
Right.
This is a snip from our current zoning map. We're in the process of getting a new mapping service and GIS stuff because on this one in particular, some areas that are shaded pink there. That's actually the city park and some land south of that is not actually a PD. But so just focus on the main red area. That's mainly south of Maine. The properties facing Maine are currently zoned C1 with the Thor overlay. And then as you go north, there's the city hall. And then the blue part there you see is C3, which is the auto body shop. But more on a larger picture, this is the whole area that we kind of, when people come in to this particular area using the downtown master plan character zone, and what we kind of base some of the design criteria on the PD that was recently done off of, and it goes past Maine. Actually, it goes up to Oak, so it's that whole area. Not that we're necessarily looking at rezoning all that, but the plan is to kind of contemplate or look at doing some zoning districts at least for all those different areas in the downtown master plan. So if someone comes in, they could just either follow that and do a zoning change and we'd have something established or not. So if we do a city initiated zoning change, we'd have to create this district. I kind of have a draft in my head, haven't really written it yet, but because it includes the streets and stuff too, because the street typology, as you'll recall, is different than allows for on-street parking. The property that we're going to talk about, the purchase of the parking area is obviously in this zone right now. We have one applicant that has submitted a site plan now on one of the smaller tracks north of the elementary school, but so far they haven't been able to meet the design standards of for the fire lane depth and then some parking and other issues because the lot's just so small. But and then of course there's the bigger part over there on the left or to the west of the edge of downtown that's also zoned the same district. But what we were focused on is that rectangle there north of Elm along the same corridor as the elementary school. And 5th Street will eventually go through, and 7th at one time did, but some of that right of way has been abandoned, and then probably are next to the remainder of it's asking to abandon the rest of it because it doesn't go through anymore anyway. But kind of presented that to you.
Are we looking to go like C2 or 3,
I
or?
think we'd probably do uses of permitted in C2 as far as the land use table goes, but as far as the zoning district goes, we have 0 10-foot building setbacks as you want to push the buildings up to the street or to the right-of-way line, create those public sidewalks that can also be utilized by the property owners for street activity like cafes, things like that. So Councilman Stevens is the one that wanted us, bring this up and discuss it, so that's kind of,
Well, I think this would,
Right on
this
it.
kind of goes along with maybe what some of the plans were with MGD, some of their ideas that would make
Yes, I
sense for
mean,
this
and-
area too.
that now it doesn't prevent, even the zoning doesn't prevent the city or the MDD from acquiring land,
Right.
obviously, but right now it comes in, fortunately, I don't know that any of the land is up on the market right now that hasn't already been purchased by the previous person that cooperated and worked with us to do the plan development and do the design of that. And then of course we bought the school district property, or are going to.
The parking lot spot.
So I've not talked to any of these property owners. There are some that are local, obviously, and if we change it, it wouldn't mean that some of the residents that are down there that live there now, that it would be any less non-conforming than it already is right now, because single-family residential is not allowed in light industrial or manufacturing anyway. And they know that, so
So if they sold the house, then it would.
they sold the house, they keep doing it.
Commercial.
Well, no, that doesn't trigger that. The triggering of a non-conforming use ceasing is if it's damaged more than 51%, or it goes vacant for over 6 months. That's the two key ones. Now, in the past, the owners had houses or residential structures that have gone vacant for over 6 months, and someone ends up going back in there because it's kind of difficult to track that kind of thing when you don't have the water bills. That's the easiest way to do, most cities do it. So now we just kind of drive to town once in a while and take a look around, and then of course you've seen in some of the other houses north out of this corridor, we just told people there's just no way you're gonna be able to adapt and reuse this thing like you see some of the other structures have been done. So they demoed it, fortunately, they worked with us to do that. But in this area, that's the thing that you run into is people that are living down there still, there's only 4 residents, I think, that are acting as single family right now. They get a little bit, we have to notify everybody, obviously, that is a property owner in there, that everyone within 200 feet of that, and people that live there get freaked out. But once we tell them, hey, you're already existing non-conforming because you're not in a single family, and that's what your land use is, you're not in that zoning anyway. And it certainly wouldn't be considered any type of down zoning because we're actually increasing the developability of the property because light and manufacturing requires, we require greater setbacks, and we wouldn't have any of the alleviation for the on-site parking and using street parking and things like that. So
We have the school in that, well, the old school, when it becomes the old school, does that mean then they can still have it be a school or an educational building?
they could, if you allowed that as a permitted land use in that category, which we pretty much have that in every category. And the school is split. It's split between C2 and then M1, as you can see. The green doesn't really show up over, but the more green of the arrow is C1 Thor overlay. Thor overlay I shouldn't really mention it because all it means is the restricted driveway access points, and there's a couple other things, but it's really not that significant beyond C1.
So I was just wondering I was thinking about it the other night with them turning it into what they're going to be turning it into. They're basically going to be turning that building into a business.
Yeah, so right now we've had
Tenants there.
3 people tell us that they're gonna rent out of there. One is the childcare.
Mhm.
She's kind of behind on when she thinks she's gonna do her grand opening, if you've seen it on social media and stuff, because the school district didn't get us the information that she thought they were getting us. And now she's got a grand opening or transitioning over to that, so you might see a specific use permit
I was
again,
gonna say,
but
we're
she's
back to the
already
SUV.
trying to get her CO from me already.
Right.
So Bethany's working with her on trying to get that information as quick as we can so that we can do the notifications. And then there's another person, I think, that was asking if they could go in there to get a CO. It is she does business cards and screen printing type of stuff.
Tomorrow and,
Yes.
what's the name?
Yosti.
Yostin.
And all those currently are permitted in that zoning district and in C
Yeah.
for the most
Right.
part.
My question, this might be for the school board, ISD, though, is how are they gonna, they're basically taking rent and they're getting an income that way from a building that was taxpayer funded, right? Or bond funded. Like, isn't that something we should probably be putting on something later on in life?
I mean, cities do have like Frisco has, they own the land Stoneware Mall is on, and they get rent from, I think you can lease, right? I mean,
Well, school districts and cities have some different rules, and I am not familiar with school district rules, so I would be hesitant to comment on it. But I think that's getting too far off of our
Yeah,
topic.
I think that's what I'm saying. We might need to
yeah.
revisit that later to be like, how are they even able to do that?
And we can go ahead and rezone their whole track clear up to probably 289, I would think.
Yeah.
Because of the east-west street there, so, and like I said, it doesn't make them any different because the land uses are still gonna be the same, predominantly for C2. And we're working on updating the permitted land use table too. We actually have it pretty much ready. We're just working on some definitions and waiting for time to bring it to y'all. But again, I could put together a draft district zoning ordinance for this, what the district would be, and then we could call it the downtown, what is this other called? I can't remember. Core area, core area district or something. Because that works much better than obviously you don't want to keep it in one place. Let's say it was all C2 or C1 right now. It still wouldn't allow you to do the design criteria of the street typologies and things that I've mentioned in the urban design.
Yeah, I think it's coming
So-
from these figures.
There's any questions, thoughts, or input on what y'all are thinking of?
I mean, we were talking about it even last time with Carter coming in here, looking at that, what they're planning on doing there. I mean, that should be the downtown square.
Yeah, and I didn't include the picture in here, but there's a schematic of, it's actually north of Main. It's this property here, and then next to us, and then behind us, if that well ever went away, expanding City Hall, and then creating a city gathering place. But as we've talked to the NBD and other people, the vision is we could do the same kind of potential thing in other areas, since fortunately a lot of it's vacant still. I mean, I didn't really do a strong calculation, but over 62% of it doesn't have anything built on it right now. And the other significant portions of it that do really wouldn't be that hard to probably go away if you bought the land. It wouldn't be like you're investing in something that you could really cost effectively reuse.
That'd be nice for the MDD to start purchasing up the land there, so we don't have to worry about developers. We can still control what goes in there.
They're trying to kind of plan that area right now, so I think that would be useful for them. Quite a bit.
Well, and the first step to planning is to get this zoning.
The zoning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this was just general discussion. So do you guys want Eric to start working on that? That all makes sense? Any other questions?
Yes, to me, it makes sense.
Change.
Might as well change.
You can't go forward without getting the changes.
Right.
Can I ask Adam to come back up and talk about the flags? Remember we talked about back there? What flags? About
Is it on the
citizens.
agenda?
That's part of his report.
Okay, well, let's finish this up so I understand what you guys want first, and we can do
I didn't
that.
know.
We'll do it.
So I'll draft up a draft development standard, put it in the ordinance. And the district, what's called the downtown core district.
Okay.
And might also look at extending it so that it includes City Hall and all this area that is shown here, if you want. Yeah, because that impacts the different area things too.
All right, so you said on Adams real quick, flags, that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, she mentioned it.
Well, it's part of signage.
I can just tell you it as an update.
Okay.
All it is, this is sort of just a public FYI. Anytime we do, the city does, or contractors do even street sign installations, we obviously have to do geolocates on all those for all utilities located there. So I guess a person had asked her about signs like the little flags that are in the ground, and how long do they have
the
to stay there?
logos. Okay.
And that's a reasonable question. It's not like we go back to homeowners and tell them, hey, you can take those out of the ground. So I would say the standard rule of thumb is after they've been in the ground about 4 days, they can come out. So if so if somebody's not mowing or doing something like that, they can pull them out. We've made a note of them. It's just we've gone out and looked for them. So it is something that I really never thought about until Cindy said that. That's correct. So you can pull them out. If you have any questions, if anybody watching has any questions, you can reach out to City Hall, and we probably can give you information about that.
Thank you. All right, number 6, discuss, consider, and act upon Senate Bill 2038 petition for release. I love these. From the ETJ, 10 acres, located at 998 Bledsoe Road, from Randy and Brenda Nelson on May 7th, 2025.
And I have an exhibit up here for you of that property. It's a built residential single-family dwelling right now, located right there. As you can see to the south is the bridges, and then 121 is curiously coming down and across. Not sure, they're just barely in the ETJ. Not sure why, since it's a 10-acre tract and it's right there like that, they're wanting to get out of the ETJ. We're actually talking to 2 different potential developments south of there, and then one long flag lot, and then the other part that has like the, I don't know what you call that shape, like a hatchet shape. But people doing some street and lot layouts on both of those pieces of property right now, trying to see what they can do, and we're trying to talk them into annexing in front of the city attorney to make sure that they're, as the way our city is set up right now, you don't have to be contiguous with the city to be able to annex in, and that's what I'm trying to talk them into doing, as opposed to just staying out in the ETJ or the county, because our development center, subdivision development center is the same. So those exhibits up there, in case y'all were wondering where this was, because lots of times we talk about the ETJ coming out, and you don't really ever get to see where it is. You just see the meets and bounds, and it's just kind of, I don't know.
So they want to pull out of the ETJ.
When they come to
Have you talked to them?
I've not talked to them. That's the thing. I don't understand why they're doing it. Like I say, it's
I don't
developed.
understand
It's
why
not like they're going to
they
be able to put
need to
another
be out of the
15
ETJ.
houses on that or anything anyway. So I don't know why they want to get out of the ETJ.
Aren't they worried about fire and police?
Well, like I say, they've not talked to me, so I can't use that methodology
Right.
or tactic.
Well, I motion that we decline.
Deny it? Okay, so Cindy,
Second like normal.
Alan with a second, all in favor of denying?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes to deny. Number 7, to discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing the mayor and staff to create a professional services agreement with the engineering firm T. Nolan Perkins for the drainage consultation and subsequent engineering. So this was the one we narrowed down of all of those that submitted, right?
So it's both Eric and I. I'll just go through it real quick. So Eric and I met with him today. Don Anderson from the MDD could not be there. He has laryngitis.
Okay.
I've never heard him at a loss for words, so I hope.
Oh yeah, they're not here.
Yes. So we met with him today. We had a really good meeting, about an hour and a half, to establish scope. Just give you the highlights of the meeting, the scope part of it anyway. We divided the city into sections. I think we called one the business section, and that is from Pecan heading southward, bordered on west of Preston. So moving toward the business section, but from Pecan south.
Okay.
And then there's the downtown area, which is north of Pecan, bordered again by Preston. We really don't have the same drainage issues on the east side of the downtown area as we do the west.
Right.
And then the woods. So those are the 3 different areas we gave them direction on for scope. So we looked at all that. They asked a lot of questions. They'll be doing mapping of those areas to identify all the hot spots. We talked about public engagement. They're obviously in the process. They're going to achieve some milestones where we can reevaluate during the process. They're aware of the price, which I think was reasonable that we told them this is how much we have, because I get a pretty good feel about them. Do you feel pretty good about them, Eric? Yeah, it was a really good meeting. We are targeting it to, I think it's next Thursday, to come back with a contract, which we will give to Courtney for review, and then it will come before council. The contract, including the scope and the contract, will be at the June 5th meeting. You have anything else you want to say?
Well, I just think they recognize in talking to us, and they were the same ways, and they're a large reason why we believe that they would be a good fit fit is we talked to some of their references. One was like Dallas that I used to be planning for that has similar situations and challenges that we have here now. And then the fact that they understand the scope of what we need, but we have to have something that's implementable. It's not just a high level plan. So they know that we want different layers of it. We need to see the big picture of things, but they know that we want to have something that we can show you all so we can prioritize fixes and understand what those might be, big or small. There might be some quick fixes that we can do that they think wouldn't negatively impact anybody by fixing something in a domino effect that we were afraid of just going out and doing it on our own willy-nilly.
Which is why we're not touching anything.
Right
until
now
we
it's,
get this back.
yeah.
Anything.
And I think, a couple developers I've talked to in the downtown area that we called it, the northern part, they're willing to kind of hold off. And another thing is the time frame. They asked us what our time frame is. We said we've always kind of been pushing for less than 9 months. They're okay with that. They can do that maybe even quicker. So we can start implementing this and see where we're at, and then have another tool to talk to developers about. But stay focused as much as we can on, real or perceived issues and address them. And they kind of already started looking at it because they brought up some stuff where they knew where some of our, as you call them, wet spots or hot spots, trouble spots that might not show up on the FEMA maps. And I told them, Adam and I both told them, I don't care what the FEMA map shows. These people always say they have problems and it's draining. We have pictures of it. So
it's everywhere.
So they'll be using HEC-RAS, which is a 2-dimensional model that'll show drainage, and they can do calculations, put in different flows and rainfall types, so we can see what impacts are in different areas off historic data, but then also hypothetical type stuff. And then I have to give them certain land uses so they can see what ultimate build out is. Just like we would on anybody on a drainage study that we make developers do. They have different criteria that they have to use that's built out, because what it is today doesn't necessarily mean what it's going to be. And it doesn't always work great, so we're going back and we'll provide all the current drainage studies that developers have had to do to them, because sometimes they go outside of the development. They're looking at the whole watershed, so that'll help them with that. Don Anderson has a bunch of historical data or information they'll provide us. Sort of, I think between that and then getting our zoning and map and updated with the fire department stuff, we're going to have some really good, moving towards a direction where we have some really good data to work off of. And now when we get this match plan down, we can maybe pursue some grant funding, so they're aware of that as well. And they have done some successful
that's
grants.
correct.
So.
We haven't had a lot of luck with
And
grants
that may
lately,
be,
but
that may be an area that we
that might be one,
actually,
yes.
Yeah, it's not so
could be
much on
successful.
demographics,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
economics, as it is
yes,
need.
because
you
of
can't
our
prove a
need.
need if you don't have an engineered licensed study to prove it. You can't just say, yeah, it drains, here's some pictures.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So we're excited about them. They're very excited to be up here working with us as well. We'll engage our landscape architecture group as well, because we're looking at regional detention. But we don't want to just make it a flipping once in a while wet hole in the ground. We want to be able to do some schematics for you all to show you, hey, if this does work as a regional detention, we want to make an aesthetic element out of it as well.
Make it pretty too.
Make it fairly pretty, and maybe it has an amphitheater.
We looked at some. There's a couple options out there. There may be some additional properties that need to come into the city's coffers at some point. I mean, so we're looking at it, but it is something that we feel that possibly the detention aspects can produce some good passive designs for land. They had some pretty innovative ideas.
Yeah, because they've done that. They did a couple things in Arlington that we were really thought could be implemented here on some scale too. So that was another reason why I think any of the they knew we wanted that as part of the scope. So, and again, if it gets more complicated, or whatever, we might come back and have to ask for a little bit more. We don't want to scope creep on consultants unnecessarily, and they know that.
They were happy to hear that.
But we want to get, and if that comes up, we told them we have to really justify, why, or what is the bang for our buck, or what is the scale of, what that gets us for what we're asking for more money. And I was happy to hear they didn't revolt at 150, since I'm the one that called a lot of firms to try to get a feeling for it. Actually, one of them, I didn't tell them that.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're excited. We really want to get it going.
Approve you guys to move forward and get a flood study agreement.
So this is who we chose to do our drainage study. Yes, yes.
The response from the We had a committee together, and we rated them all, and T-L person Perkins was the decision at the end.
So now this is to authorize,
To move
The
forward.
professional
me and Eric and
services.
Adam to move forward with this professional services agreement.
And it'd be great if there was a way you could just authorize the mayor to move forward with it, knowing what the fund cap is, then we wouldn't have to
Yeah,
come back
because
to
we've
you all.
already established that.
Yeah, so you could just authorize the mayor to work with us, and once they get us the contract, have Courtney look at the legal parts of it, and the rest of it's pretty canned, and we'll know what the scope is. And they clear everything, and then we need, I think, between us, if the mayor could just have authorization to execute it when they get it to us, we can move faster.
That's how I did the item, just in case that
Yeah.
worked.
No, and it makes sense
Yeah.
because honestly, I mean, you know, we trust you two, you're the professionals, this is what you do. And of course, Courtney's gonna read through it and make sure that, everything is good on our end to protect us as a city. And, I'm putting 100% of my trust in the two of you because this is not my, you know, I've not been a part of this process because it's not my thing. It's what we have you guys for.
Is there anything that's not your thing?
This has zero interest because
Finally, we found some.
I mean, I want it solved.
So that's all I'm saying is I'm asking if you
But
get a
I don't
motion to give
enjoy
the
it.
mayor authority to
You
work
guys
with us and
talking about
execute the
it,
agreement,
so-
then we don't have to come back.
I'll make a
Again, now, they
motion.
will come, once the agreement's, executed,
Right,
they have said they will come back and go over the scope with y'all and
yeah,
show
explain it.
kind of high level, here's our milestone type stuff, or here's the 4 or 5 big picture things that then we'll drill back down into so that you can understand it more than my planner boy explanations or Adam's explanations. We just want you to be comfortable knowing that we're really working to get something that's feasible,
And, yeah.
that's
we have-
implementable, that's gonna really be able to, we can really get it. Or if there's an issue, tell someone, yeah, here's where that fell on the scope of trying to do things, and then the funding sources or might shift around. We can't just take yours and put it up here, because then it's gonna actually domino, negatively affect all this. We can't just fix that, because then it's gonna make this worse. Or it might not. Some of it we talked about today, it might just be simply replacing culverts and dredging the existing ditches that are there and getting the flow right. But then other ones
Please will
are,
know.
we might have to go, hey, the only way to really resolve this issue is we need to go underground and pipe it for a little while.
And then establish, based on this, it would also, like Eric was saying, we could establish grade lines, and there might just be some minor grading of these, and then there just needs to be, in my opinion, expectations moving forward after we fixed it, that it's maintained then by landowners concerning the ones, you know, in the residential areas. A lot of those might be issues we're just moving forward, they're just maintained. So the fixes might be hopefully.
And the timing, it's, you know, street pavement might need to be improved at the same time to make it work best. It's, you know, things.
I'll make a motion to approve on that, because we need to get that done.
So the mayor will have
Wait.
authorization.
To
Should be,
enter into a professional services agreement.
you'll be the one that picks out which popsicle stick made it passes.
Well, these guys are doing it, but I'll tell you, I know for a fact, 100%, I am comfortable because I know the due diligence they have done on this project, 100%. So, and I appreciate you guys, because again, it's not mine, no interest in it. They've done an amazing job.
I'll second.
So I've got Wade with a first to authorize, and Cindy with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous with everybody. Let's consider act upon a memorandum of understanding. Do we have one, Courtney, yet, or do I need to
No.
push this?
Can we push it?
Yes,
Yes.
we're gonna push this to June 5th. I didn't think that we had this quite ready.
Yeah.
We put it on there hopeful. I've killed her.
Sorry.
Getting stuff ready. Okay, so then we're gonna, continue that to June 5th. Number 9, discuss, consider, and act upon moving the city council regular meeting from second Tuesday at 6 to first Thursday at 6. We're gonna do a little bit of shifting.
I have no idea.
But it
Just
makes
send us a
sense.
text.
I make a motion, we move the
How about
city
a
council
date?
regular meeting from the second Tuesday to the first Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Thursday.
First Thursday.
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 I don't know.
First
You
and
know,
third
Tuesday.
Thursday now,
Yes.
6 p.m. So it's very consistent. It's easier to remember. We're going back to the first Thursday at 6.
Second.
First and third.
No, I seconded.
Oh, you're second.
Who's on first? No, first is on second, second's on
I'm
first.
like, you can't
What's on
change
first?
it here. I'll tell you,
That
what,
was
you guys,
awesome.
I woke up, honey,
Yeah.
it's still there. So we were about to go at it. Okay, So I have William with a first to approve, Cindy with a second, all in favor.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. All right, yay, now we're less confusing.
I'm still gonna need reminders.
It's
Have they
okay,
come out
we'll get
3
you right.
days before?
You were the one that actually asked today, and I'm so glad you did because I didn't give you guys a reminder. So,
I thought it was Thursday.
I thought it was
yeah,
at 5.
Cindy said if you
If it
hadn't
confuses
texted,
you, try advertising public notices and never know what day it's gonna be on.
you never know.
Hold on, I don't know, I'm gonna check.
I know.
I get them as a text.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay,
But it's 3 days early.
Well, I need 3 days.
all right, so now the next one is to discuss, consider, act upon moving the Gunter Municipal Development District to, from the first Thursday. Yeah,
Yes,
So
I said I'll
they're
back to back to
this.
They're not
To
back
this-
to back.
yes, to the second Tuesday at 6 p.m.
I move that we move the Gunter MDD meetings from the first Thursday at 6 to the second Tuesday at 6.
Okay, Cindy with the first,
I'll second.
Wade with the second, all in favor.
Aye.
And just so you know, the
That's
members did
unanimous.
discuss this, so they're not gonna be
We just
shocked and
swapped.
upset, they've already decided.
Well, the good thing is nobody's rushed, if they have their own day, their own time, they can,
And I get to be over here another evening, which is awesome.
Yeah.
wait, like, he wanted to do it weekly. So, Remember
MDD
that?
weekly? Oh,
remember the
city
good old
council
days when
weekly?
you thought it'd be cool to do it weekly?
Well, because we have.
We had so much.
We did have a lot of stuff.
You go for so long, you have no idea.
Okay, so number 11, discuss, consider, act upon appointing Christina Zielinski to the Gunter MDD, place 4. So we interviewed Christina. I don't know if Christina's here. She's not tonight. I think she's going to be a great asset to this board. Very excited. So you know about Christina.
I know.
She's very entrepreneurial. She's sharp. She's a go-getter. She's, I think she'll get along with everybody well. She'll contribute quite a bit. And Eric was sat in on that. Paul called in because he was out of town in Florida, so he called in as well. So I think she's a great nominee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
So Wade with a first, Cindy with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay, 4-0, yeah, unanimous, so she's, added to our board.
Snooze messed up.
Nothing, should be great. Number 12, discussion regarding legislative updates with our city attorney.
Okay, I'm not gonna go over every page of this document. Again, like I told you last time, I developed this document for many different clients, so I'm just going to talk about the things that affect Gunter, or that might affect Gunter. So starting on page 4, House Bill 23, we talked about this one last time. The update on this is that it has passed the House. This would allow third-party reviews of plating all the time, which can cause a problem for people like Planner Board. Then I'm gonna skip the next several pages because we've already talked about those and go to page 7. The top of page 7, Senate Bill 506 has passed the Senate. So that might put some extra pressure on
How
staff.
is this different though, because you already have to do this? What's the next level of be more clear? Okay.
And nobody knows really.
We don't know,
I
because
mean,
it already says to
it's-
do this.
yeah,
You already
so
have to do
be
this.
clear, well, and that if it's a ballot proposition, it's gotta go to the Secretary of State for review. So, yeah, so that one has made it past
Which
the
we did with
Senate.
ours. We got approval.
Yeah.
It's a pain,
Yeah,
but
Only one
they
more
approved what
step.
we already had written, like you
Yep.
have to make it super clear anyway, so I'm not really sure what this accomplishes other than more bureaucracy where you have to have the state's stamp instead of just.
it's just another way to remove local control, bit by bit. Then down at the bottom, House Bill 3572, we've talked about this one. This one has, there was a committee substitute that was voted from the House Land and Resource Management Committee.
This is a
And
nightmare.
this is the 200-foot, send everything certified mail, return receipt requested.
1,500.
Yeah, so
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so that one looks like it may be going places. Senate Bill 1844 on page 8. Deidre did not want me to talk about this bill, but I have some good news about it.
Only
And
because we were cringing.
if any of you know the mayor for the city of Lucas, Dusty Kirkendall, he got this done. This bill has been bracketed so that it mainly affects Austin and not you guys.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So, has a job
um,
still.
I thought I was gonna lay off everybody else.
Yeah.
We were all gonna, you all.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
I mean, you know, you always have to say,
Okay.
you never know what's going to happen for sure. But at this time, that bill has been bracketed.
It would
So,
have destroyed the state. There are more of us than there are of them. It would have destroyed
Yeah.
us.
well, and yeah, I mean, it would have been because the
Yeah.
city of Lucas does not have a sewer system. Everybody's on septic.
Right.
It would have destroyed it. So,
All general
Hopefully-
law, we're done. We
Yeah.
would have been toast.
hopefully, it's fixed a lot of, you know, it's.
Settled a lot of nerves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's hope so. There's also, in House Bill 950, which we haven't talked about before, that a city must provide full municipal service to an annexed area by a certain date, and if you don't meet the deadline, then the landowner may bring an action seeking disannexation. And that one, was also amended by the committee.
What
And
page is that one on?
It's the same.
it's in
Oh, it was?
1844, it's just below it.
In the same.
Oh, okay.
In the same, because it's still with the same topic, so I just kind
Right.
of stuck it down there.
Okay.
Then moving on to page 12, House Bill 2962, and the only reason this one's red is because it was my first update.
Well,
But I
this one was
start-
green. You highlighted it different, and I still just went right past it going, where is it? It's a different color.
Well, 2962 is the first time I started going in and highlighting. You'll notice I got busy and only got one bill done. So there's a lot more green. So this bill would exempt, this is good for cities, would exempt cities from paying miscellaneous gross receipts tax on their electric utility bills. Right now, only school districts get that exemption. So hopefully that will make it through and cities will get the same exemption. House Bill 19.
Nice.
This could be terrible, especially for smaller cities. It imposes several limitations on the issuance of local debt, including capping your ability to issue debt of any kind, effectively eliminating the use of certificates of obligation,
There goes your fire trucks.
and tax anticipation notes, and moving all bond elections for your general obligation bonds to November. So as of May the 2nd, this bill was still pending in the House Ways and Means Committee, and we pray that it stays there. And it dies in that
Do we know
committee.
who's in that committee, on that committee? Do we have anybody?
The first couple pages, I included lists of names. House Ways and Means, Morgan Meyer, Trey Martinez, Morgan Meyer's South, nobody close to us,
Nobody
but
close to us.
I think it would still be a good idea for you guys to reach out
Reach out.
to people on that committee and tell them how bad that is.
It's a mixed one, but we might.
Because not only does it disproportionately affect small cities, I mean, it basically makes it where you cannot use COs.
That's what I'm saying, we can't repair our fire truck.
That's
How we got our fire.
This is how we got it in the first place, and now we have one that's gonna be Frankenstein if we don't prepare to do it again.
Yeah.
So,
Moving on to page 14, House Bill 111 amends the Public Information Act. I haven't looked at this closely, but it looks like it limits your attorney-client privilege on public information
probably thanks to Mr. Ford.
to some degree, and it has passed the House. So this is another one
They've abused it. I know they have. Can't do anything.
we would not want passed. House Bill 1695 provides that if a public construction project causes a commercial sign, use, structure, or permit to have to be moved, then the city's gotta pay to move it, basically. So I don't know if you've got any commercial signs that would, but at the rate your city's gonna grow, it could affect you at some point. House Bill 5267. Total expenditures from all available sources of revenue in a fiscal year may not exceed total expenditures from the previous fiscal year. Nobody really knows what this is going to do, but
That makes you wanna spend the most you can the year before, whether you need to or not. Right?
so it
Sounds like.
creates,
Keep going.
it's basically capping expenditures, but
It creates the need to unnecessarily spend.
and if you
Yeah,
hit
don't
your
roll over.
limit,
You're getting penalized for saving,
if you hit your limit during the middle of the budget year,
you're done.
city shuts down. You're done.
That's so
You don't
smart.
have police, you don't have fire, you don't have, yeah, the rest of us that do the foo-foo stuff, but when you don't have those guys, you've got a problem.
Mhm.
Or it means it's the last week of the year, you gotta spend.
So, this is a not a good bill, and this
It's
bill
terrible.
has been reported from committee. So, that's one we need to make phone calls on. Flipping over to page 15, Senate Bill 986.
What committee is this?
Did I not write it down?
Bill? Well, I'm willing to give it my paycheck here for the police to stay.
I'll have to look. I didn't write it down here, and I don't remember off the top of my head, which it's been reported from committee, so I don't know which, but I'm gonna say probably Ways and Means, but I'm not positive. Let's see, Senate Bill, I'm gonna skip 986, we'll go to 1025, requires ballot proposition that seeks voter approval of the imposition or increase of a tax to include this is a tax increase in that language. And that's bad for cities because it's not just imposition. It's like when you renew your street sales tax, you've got to say this is a tax increase, even though it's not.
Right.
This bill requires you to say that, which is really misleading to the public. They're already paying it. It's not anything more. It's just renewing that tax that you already collect to take care of your streets. This bill would require you to call that a tax increase. So that's why that one's not good. And that Senate bill that's a Senate bill and it has passed the House. So that's not good for us. Senate Bill 1062 is good for our cities. It allows cities to publish notice in a digital newspaper in lieu of publishing in notice in a printed newspaper. And that one has passed the House, so that's one of the good ones. Senate Bill 2523 provides that a resident of an area in the city's ETJ might file a petition for the area to be released only if they live there. So.
Well, that would make more sense because it's true property ownership, not just I have this land and I want it out of the city.
Yeah. And you have an interest. You
have an
live
interest.
there.
You actually
Yeah.
live there. That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
I'm surprised they didn't say reside somewhere.
Well, this would only go forward. It wouldn't, yeah. So,
It does say reside.
and this bill has passed the Senate.
Because I'll argue that.
So we don't know if it's gonna make it, but the ones that had major moves, those are the ones that I put in here.
Yeah.
So,
This Betancourt guy is really too busy.
Senate Bill 2529, this requires basically a supermajority to pass any bonds. Supermajority of you guys, which, a lot of times when you're passing bonds, you're already
We
probably
wouldn't have brought it if
all
we didn't feel like it.
agreeing.
Yeah.
But in case you aren't, one more hurdle to jump. On page 16, Senate Bill 3016 is just an extension of the 2023 Death Star bill. that says that cities can't regulate in areas where the state already regulates. It's another confusing piece of legislation because it says that cities cannot regulate in a field occupied by the state, which includes chapters 41 through 43 and chapters 211 through 250 of the local government code. Well, 211 and 212 are his, or planner boys.
Yeah.
You can no longer do zoning and planning in your city? Is that what that says? I think it makes no sense. And that bill has passed the Senate. House Bill,
Just means they're tired of looking at it, nobody can kill it.
yeah, House Bill
Want
12,
someone else to kill it?
It was just before lunch.
yeah, House Bill 1227. This prohibits cities from charging solid waste franchisees more than 2% of gross receipts. But what it also does is says you can only have an exclusive franchise for residential solid waste. So commercial, anything else, you can no longer do an exclusive franchise on. Which, yeah.
So we'll have 15
You have
franchises running
15 franchises for your commercial solid waste. That one has been voted from the House Environmental Regulation Committee. Down at the bottom of page 16, another Benton Court bill prohibits the city from extending the application of certain development ordinances, including subdivision ordinances in the ETJ. You cannot directly or indirectly regulate lot size or lot density in the ETJ.
So that means we can have anything out there with size 30 lots.
Yeah.
And do it there.
Yeah, but from an engineering standpoint, they still have to meet engineering criteria, so don't think that there won't be a little bit more stringency put on things to try to create less density.
Not to mention septic limitations, you're gonna have an acre to be able to get your.
Well, half acre now, but
But anyway, it's just it's another attempt to restrain local control.
Yay.
Senate Bill 2215 would effectively do away with your Board of Adjustments. It would mean anybody who was not happy with a zoning statute, instead of going to the Board of Adjustments as an appeal, we go to court now. So it makes it way more expensive for cities to handle these matters.
It becomes the Wild Wild West.
This has been voted from the Senate Local Government Committee.
Good thing I said I was gonna build a hefty, what do I wanna call it?
Yeah.
Rainbow fund?
House Bill 1998, it just increases the competitive bidding threshold from 50,000 to 100,000. So what you have to go through the competitive bidding process right now, anything 50,000 or above, it jumps that up to 100,000 or above.
Okay.
So that's kind of neutral, but it can make having to purchase things easier.
Right.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not terrible.
No, that's okay.
I don't know how many home-based businesses you have or if this bill would really affect you that much, but it basically states that you can't regulate no-impact home-based businesses. I don't know, I feel like this was targeted at somebody, but it's not bracketed, so thought I'd mention it. House Bill 323, also on page 17, is E-Verify. There are a ton of E-Verify bills in the legislature this session. This one has a committee report and has been sent to calendars. This just basically means you got to verify employment through E-Verify. So if we're not already doing that, the city would have to start doing it.
U.S. citizens, they would have to, okay.
Yeah, and
This
through
is
through E-Verify system,
Not
Yeah.
our own.
not your own, E-Verify.
Coast database, basically.
Yes. Then we're going to skip several pages, go to page 19, House Bill 4144. This is probably a good benefit for our first responders. It's a supplemental income benefit. So if a firefighter or a peace officer retires with a critical illness, then the health benefit plan coverage has to provide a supplemental income benefit to the first responder. So that's been placed on the general state calendar for consideration. So that one's not too, that's not bad.
But it starts on the 3rd anniversary of their retirement.
Yes.
So that means they go 3 years with nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just adds additional supplemental benefits, so.
Keep it from bouncing around.
Then House Bill 170, Peace Officer Civil Liability. This, provides that a defendant being, the police officer who threatens use of force or deadly force that is justified is immune from civil liability for personal injury or death that results from the threat of use of force or deadly force. So if an officer has to threaten somebody and they have a heart attack and die, there's no civil liability. So that's a good bill for our police officers.
Safe.
Human trafficking, House Bill 742 at the bottom of page 20. It requires some first responder training for our first responders with regard to human trafficking. Yes.
Take a sip of your drink.
Shush it, planner boy. Don't tell the police chief in here. Okay, so that's pretty much, and then House Bill 908, missing child, requires law enforcement to immediately, but no later than 2 hours after the agency receives a report of a missing child, to report that to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And those are the main ones that I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously there's more in here, but we'll do one more report at the end of the session to let you know what actually passed and what we have to look forward to.
HB 5267 is, we were saying which committee. It's Government Affairs. Intergovernmental Affairs is the committee it's in right now. But it says last action was committee report sent to calendars.
And that was like on the 12th
That was on the 2nd.
of May? Okay, so that one may die.
That one sounds like it's gonna die.
Yeah, I was trying,
Who really wants to go not writing that letter? This sounds like it's gonna die.
it may, but
It's really stupid.
if they took action on it in May, I put it in the report, so.
May 2nd, so.
Because the last day for a bill to come out of committee, I think was yesterday. To get on calendars, I think was yesterday.
And then it's probably June, the first week of June that
This has to,
like it has to be ready to go to the governor. And then on the 22nd, he either signs or vetoes.
I think so. I can't remember what the dates are, but that's where we are thus far.
Where's the second?
All right, well, Deidre's safe, so that's what we were talking about earlier today.
Yeah, don't worry about planner board or
We
about
get to
Nancy
keep-
Parker.
yeah, I wasn't worried about you. I was worried about Deidre,
Okay, did you?
Danny.
I already knew most of them because I'm following. There's Nancy Parker in the studio.
We were worried about you. Worried about everybody. We don't want anybody.
Nobody
to die.
cares about planner board.
June 22nd would be the governor would have to sign or veto. Okay, so where are we? We just did our legislative updates. Do we have information for
Yes.
executive session?
We do.
Okay, so then we will convene to executive session at 7:09 under 551071, consultation with our attorney on BNSF. Okay, we are reconvening at 7:27 from executive session, and we have no action to take. So we are adjourning at 7:27.